Nosy Nancy's is a true crime podcast based in Austin, Texas. Due to its graphic nature, listener discretion is advised.
Oh, nosy Nazis, tell us more. Murders, mysteries, and Texas lore. Tune in tight for the latest feat. Each episode is a killer treat. Oh, nosy Nazis, tell us more. Murders, mysteries, and Texas lore. Tune in tight for the latest feat. Each episode is a killer treat.
Okay, we're recording.
I have to get out my podcast voice because, it's been so long. Am I even me anymore? I don't know.
I know, I've lost my identity throughout all of this stuff.
I know.
All this break.
All this break. We don't even know who we are. Hey, all you nosies. I'm Aliqua.
And I'm Jasmine, and welcome to the final episode of season 3. Finally, we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finally.
It's only been 8 months.
Yeah. Wow. Time sure flew by.
I know.
Time sure flies by when you're not doing things you're supposed to be doing.
My New Year's resolution is to have better time management. And as you can see, it's working out wonderfully.
I mean, hey, 3 months. Actually, honestly, 3 months in, that's not bad.
Not bad. You know what? Not bad. I did also get married, so
Yes. Yeah. Congratulations.
I-
We're so, I mean, when I say we, I know I talk about everybody in the fucking world, but we are all so happy that you guys got married.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And
Yeah.
you know what? I think about it sometimes from time to time that our first date was mentioned here. And I said, I was in love with Todd. And you were like, of course, because you fall in love so quickly. And now I get to marry him.
You did marry him.
I did
Yeah.
marry him.
Yeah, you don't get to. You already done did
it's already
it, girl.
done. It's already done.
It's permanent. You cannot go back.
It's,
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's documented and everything.
The thing is because Jasmine has lived in a faraway land, so we don't live close to each other, so we don't get to see each other very much. So
true.
I didn't meet Todd at all. Like he was just as much of a stranger to me as he was to everybody else that listens to our podcast. But when I finally got to meet him,
Isn't he just the most perfect thing on the
he
planet?
really is.
I love
Yeah,
him.
if you heard him,
I never would. Please. Let's get
if
let's
you
get real. If anybody's gonna hurt
him.
anybody.
no, not that
We all
precious
know.
little baby. Right. We all know it's Todd.
We all know.
Because let's be honest, even though we love Todd, he is still a Scorpio, okay?
That's true.
He is still a Scorpio.
It's true. He's not textbook though, so
No.
there's hope.
No, but he really is just great. I have said this to people when they got married to their spouses, and not really meaning it because, there's not a lot of men I like. Okay. And most of my friends who are married are in straight couples, they're breeders for sure.
Yeah.
So I can never say wholeheartedly that I love their spouses, but I really do. I cannot think of anybody better for you than Todd.
Neither can I. He's incredible.
He
love
is.
him.
He really is. Yeah, I love him
make
too.
I could make an entire religion around my husband.
Well, but who has the time? Husband. Wow.
I know,
That's
right?
crazy
I'm
to
throwing it
say.
out there. Willy-nilly. I'm like, my husband's hot. My husband thinks this. My husband.
Oh.
Husband.
It's beautiful.
I know.
Should we stop flapping our gums about your beautiful life together with Todd and my horrible fucking life that I have that I lead? And should we talk about what happened today? Today is what? March 26th?
27th.
Today's March 27th. Thursday, March 27th. Right?
Yes.
early this morning, around 9:30, there was reports of a body found in Lady Bird Lake. I
And
don't what?
we don't have any details yet, right?
Well, I have a little bit of details. I have a little tiny smidgen, little bitty baby, little bitty tiny molecule of the detail.
Okay.
I do know that the person that was found, I don't know their gender, I don't know their sex, I don't know their race or anything like that, but I do know that they were not wearing any clothes.
Okay. So
That
they
doesn't mean necessarily that they were in, that they went into the water unclothed.
right.
It
Yeah.
it you could have been ripped off. They could have been ripped off.
Yeah.
We don't know how long the person has been in the water for or anything like that. So
Yeah, depending on what they were wearing, it could have easily been snagged on something and
yeah,
yeah. Okay.
yeah. So, but that's all we do know. I do know I haven't really been following it as well as we probably should since we, do have a podcast about it. But
Yeah,
um,
same.
there has been a couple of incidents in Lady Bird Lake since we recorded the first season.
Yeah.
I think there's been maybe like 4 people found again, or there was one person that had committed suicide. That's just a trigger word, so I'm being
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
But I think that person did it on the banks of Lady Bird Lake. I don't think he was actually on Lady Bird Lake. But we can, I will kind of be looking at it. I'll be keeping my little eye twitching on it. So
Okay.
maybe we can have a little bit more of a
Coverage.
update for people. Yeah. We
Okay,
could also
perfect.
do like a special episode like we did that one time.
Oh, yeah. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Well,
Excellent.
I suppose that we will go ahead then until we have any more information and finish up the finale of season
Cha 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 cha.
of season
You can't tell, but
3.
I'm shaking my titties right now.
Ooh, I can hear it. I can hear it in your breath.
Oh
That's the
God!
sound I make.
This is why we've lost followers.
I
Honestly,
That's true. So
all right.
I do want to announce for the sake of, I don't want people like attacking me. So let me go ahead and announce where my sources are from. It all comes from one source, which is the Mississippi Innocence documentary, which is on this case. It's available to watch on YouTube and was uploaded under the Fair Use for Educational Purposes Act. The case features interviews with the actual people who worked on the case with the Innocence Project's DNA specialists, as well as Kennedy Brewer, whose case we're covering today. So Kennedy Brewer lived with his girlfriend, Gloria Johnson, and her 3 children in a small trailer home in Mississippi. On May 3rd, 1992, Gloria went out with her friends, leaving the children alone with Kennedy to babysit. They lived together. She trusted him around the kids. No big deal. It was a very modest home, trailer home, so the children all slept in the same room. Christine, the oldest of the children, was 3 years old. She slept on the same bed as her siblings, basically at like the foot of the bed and pretty much directly under a window. The next morning after May 3rd, Kennedy was awakened by Gloria asking where Christine was.
What does that mean?
So he woke up. Gloria, had come home from her night out, went to bed, wakes up. She goes to get the kids up, who are all incredibly young. Notices that Christine is missing.
Christine's the oldest, right? And she's 3.
Yes.
So that means like her siblings were like babies.
Yeah. And
Oh my
pretty
God.
much infants. So Christine is completely missing. Gloria's asking, what happened. He's like, I don't know. She was there. I put her to bed. There's no reason that she shouldn't be there. They searched the
Wait, 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 wait,
house.
wait. Wait, 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 wait. They went to bed. They went to bed.
Mhm.
All of them.
Yeah.
And then when they woke up in the morning, Christine was gone.
Christine was gone. And she's 3. So how far could she go on her own?
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
That's scary.
So they search the house. They can't find her. They start walking around, can't find her. They called other people over, friends to help kind of look for her. They called the police. The police arrived, and Deputy Sheriff, however you say it, Bud Perminter said that the house was a wreck. I mean, they were, didn't have the most money. They had all these young children. He said that the house was a wreck. And there was absolutely no way that an intruder could enter the house, not disturbing anyone, to kidnap Christine. So already they have, with that statement, pinpointed that it's somebody in the house, despite the fact that there was a broken window in the room, the window that Christine sleeps near.
So you're telling me that there's a broken window,
right?
That's just open,
yeah,
and that they never bothered to be like, oh,
look at this broken window. Maybe somebody broke it, and
it's not like Christine is. Yeah, it's not like, I mean, they didn't they get like Elizabeth Smart out of her window at like 11?
Right? Yeah.
Like how, like if they could do that to an 11-year-old, why could they not do it to a 3-year-old?
To a 3-year-old?
Yeah.
Who weighs 34 pounds?
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's super easy. That's a medium-sized dog.
I mean, I could not lift it, but
no, I couldn't either. Yeah, for sure.
So there was a creek a short distance from the house. The police brought in 2 bloodhounds where they kind of sniffed around the creek, and they did detect Christine's scent there. A helicopter was called in, and they were able to locate Christine's body floating in the water.
Oh my God.
So you would assume, I don't know, 3-year-olds, I think they may walk and stuff already. So you would think maybe she would, if she had figured out a way to get out of the house, maybe she walked in there and accidentally drowned. But no. She had been strangled. She had been sexually assaulted.
Oh my fucking God. A 3-year-old? Dude, that's
a 3-year-old baby.
That is... I cannot deal with this kind of shit. Like, people are fucking... Like, I hate doing stories like this, but this shit happens in real life.
No, God, it's absolutely horrifying. Horrifying.
This isn't something that happens it's not a common occurrence, but it's not normal. This isn't something that normally happens, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know anybody that this has happened to, in all my life personally. So, I mean, and I've known a lot of people, and I grew up in a small town, and nothing like that ever happened. So, I mean, this is not like something that is normal, right? But this is enough for me to be like, I'm never having children.
Well, and the sad thing is that, like, maybe the baby being found murdered isn't normal, but this happens to children so often, and that's the reality of it. That
for sure,
sick people, like not just men but women too.
It's gross. But okay, go ahead.
Okay, so she was sexually assaulted, and she was covered in what police assumed were like deep scratch marks, like weird marks.
Okay.
So according to Tucker Harrison, who is somebody who's working with the Mississippi Innocence Project, they said that the sheriff's department pretty much did what the sheriff's department does in a situation like that, which is they rounded up all the individuals who they knew to be in the vicinity of the Brewer home within 24 hours of Christine's disappearance. They took them all down to the hospital for blood, hair samples, and cheek swabs. Police.
Okay, good start.
Yeah,
that's a good
start. But
Ugh.
police had already settled on their two prime suspects, which were Kennedy Brewer and Gloria Johnson, although they had absolutely no evidence other than that they were in the house when Christine went missing.
So Gloria Johnson is Christine's mother.
Is Christine's mom.
Now, she wasn't, okay, I don't know if you're going to get into this or not.
Gloria Jackson, sorry. Did I say Johnson?
Yeah, sorry. You did. So Gloria Jackson.
Gloria Jackson.
Okay. So Gloria Jackson is her mother. Yes. Is Christine's mother.
Yes.
Now, Christine's mother was not even in the house for a while, right? Didn't she go out with her friends?
Yeah, she was out with her friends, but I guess because she came home and went to bed, I don't know. They were just like, right. Yeah, she has something to do with it.
Yeah, because, I mean, whatever.
I don't get it. I don't get the logic.
At this point, nothing surprises me with the police department. I mean, like,
other than that the police had made the statement that since the house was basically dirty, I think is what they were trying to say. Like, the house was just so dirty that there's no way that a criminal could have come in.
Oh, yeah.
So it had
and
to
that they were negligent.
Yeah.
Right.
So
they're already, that's...
Dr. Stephen Hain was the person who performed the autopsy on Christine.
Okay.
At the time, he was the main pathologist in Mississippi, and by his own admission, he had performed hundreds of autopsies each year.
Okay.
By the way, hundreds of autopsies is like he performed 1,500 to 1,800 each year. And you're not supposed to perform more than 250 a year. Like,
are you kidding?
He was fucking tapping out these autopsies.
Oh, no. That's corruption. I mean, that's corruption right there. Yeah. Whether or not he means for it to be corruption, or it still is, because at the highest level, the county, or because it's a sheriff's department, right? The county, right. Or maybe it's just, I don't know. The county should provide more medical examiners or autopsy. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, he was literally like the go-to guy for Mississippi.
No, I don't like that.
A rape kit was performed and semen was collected. Christine's body, Stephen Hain noticed, also had multiple bite marks, which he had admitted that he wasn't an expert on. But he did recommend to have Mississippi dentist Michael West come and examine them. So let me tell you about Michael West for a second.
Okay.
Michael West was a practicing dentist who claimed to be a bite mark expert, and that he had developed a tool which he called the Western phenomenon, which was basically using a black light while he was wearing yellow goggles. And
okay, calm down, Nikola Tesla. Like, let's...
And he said that he could find bite marks on victims and help identify who they came from.
We've already known from this season that's been drug out for so long.
Yeah.
That, like, I don't know why all these cases rely on bite mark evidence when it's been proven to be not a reliable source of proof.
Honestly, like, I did not win the genetic lottery. My teeth are absolute shit. I could break a tooth tomorrow and it would completely change my bite mark. Yeah. Like, bite marks don't mean anything. Really.
No, it's already been like, I mean, everybody calls it junk science because
Yeah.
it's junk science.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how many people have been convicted of murder, these horrible crimes over something like that.
Yeah. No. It's insane. It is
It shouldn't
insane.
even be admissible. It's just like a lie detector test. This is I mean, like, all the cases that we've done have really been from the 80s and 90s. So
Yeah,
ugh,
before DNA evidence was really like
yeah,
thoroughly examined. But
yeah.
so Dr. West put on his little goggles and turned on the black light, and he counted he said so many bite marks that they just stopped counting. But
That's
they identified for sure 19 solid bite marks on her body. A 3-year-old baby. Like, come on.
okay. I'm gonna assume because they found semen, which I hate. I have to say this at the crime scene, that this was a grown man.
Yeah.
Okay, how can you have so many bite marks? How can you have so many bite marks on a small body like that, and get a clear like print? That doesn't make any sense, because if it's a
Right.
man's mouth, then
It would
surely,
cover a good amount of area.
well, they would overlap
Yeah.
at some point,
Yeah.
right? And wouldn't make a clear, yeah, because they're saying there's tons, right? They're saying there's so many bite marks on her,
Right.
right? So in my brain, I'm thinking, well, if there's so many, then like, how are they even able to get a clear imprint? That doesn't make it. I mean,
Yeah.
it
It
doesn't
doesn't
make
make
sense.
sense.
No.
Basically, what they did was they took denture plate samples of both Kennedy Brewer and Gloria Jackson, which basically means that, they have the plaster and they bite into it and they get like an outline of the shape of their teeth.
Right.
And they rolled them over the bite marks. They declared that Kennedy Brewer's bite mark was a match for the marks and Gloria's was not. So Gloria was let go and Kennedy was put up for trial.
So they arrested him,
Yes.
basically.
Yes.
God. Could you imagine having your 3-year-old daughter or child being like this horrible thing happened to her, and then you're also questioned and detained, and then that's, I just couldn't imagine.
I couldn't either, honestly. The babies who were in the home, their sister's gone. Now their parents are gone and they're probably confused. This woman just lost her child and is being falsely accused
Well,
of this
what gets
horrific
me,
crime.
and what really gets me, right? Because when somebody, like, I don't think detectives come out to the crime scene when you're just like, "Hey, my daughter's missing."
Yeah.
I don't think initially, I think it's just the regular police, right?
Right.
And they come and make a statement. So the person that had already decided that the perpetrator was Kennedy
Mm-hmm.
was just a regular cop, right?
Right. It was
So this person,
Bud Pribiner,
so he was just a deputy sheriff,
a deputy
or
sheriff.
sheriff's deputy.
Correct. And they automatically, they took in other people for the swabs and stuff, but they pretty much settled on that it was
Right.
Kennedy and arrested him immediately.
So this guy, who's not a sheriff, who's not a detective, who's just a regular police officer there to, or deputy who's there to take a statement, decided, right, for that they were going to go after Kennedy.
Yes.
Okay.
Just based on the cleanliness of their house, is
Right.
the way it seems to me.
What is so amazing, and I don't mean this in a brilliant way. I mean this in a fucking, like, my jaw is like sunk to my kneecaps. Is that they even they even decided that they were going to listen to this person who was not qualified, I don't think, to give that kind of a statement or to give that kind of an influence on.
Yeah. No,
it's not a
I agree.
detective. It's not a missing person specialist.
Yeah.
It's not a forensic guy. Oh my God. I don't like that one bit, Jasmine.
I don't either.
So I'm going to go ahead and start talking about the trial now and the conviction. Just to source my information so nobody gets mad at me. This is also from the Innocence Project. But it's also this also comes from the New York Times as well. So the trial began in March 1995, almost 3 years after Brewer was arrested. The prosecution theorized that Brewer had raped and murdered Christine in the Jackson home and then carried her body to the creek, which is insane because, I mean, even though her siblings were babies, one of them, I think, was like 15 months old.
Yeah.
And could talk.
Right.
So, I mean, if you're going to do something like that in front of her siblings, I think you would still run the risk of
getting
one
caught.
of those.
Yeah, they're going to call you out.
Right. As Jasmine said, there was a semen sample, and it was deemed insufficient at the time for DNA testing. The medical examiner, this is the first trial. The medical examiner who conducted the autopsy, Stephen Hain, who we've already talked about, testified that he had found several marks on the child's body that he believed to be bite marks. Hain called in Dr. Michael West, which you also talked about, a forensic odontologist, to analyze the mark. West concluded that 19 marks on the victim's body were indeed, and without a doubt, this is in quotation marks, inflicted by Brewer. He further asserted that all 19 marks were made only by Brewer's top 2 teeth, and that somehow the bottom teeth had made no impression. West claimed a degree of certainty that exceeded the limitations of bite marks analysis, which has never been scientifically validated. He was already discredited by the time of Brewer's trial as the first member ever to be suspended from the American Board of Forensic Odontology. Regardless, the court allowed his testimony.
Really?
Which is so fucking crazy. And I know that I use the word crazy a lot. I know that that's not politically correct. I understand. But you guys, we're talking about a system that's supposed to be for the people and to stop wrongful convictions. We put the trial in place. We put trials in place so that this shit doesn't happen. And yet it always fucking happens because of corruption. Like, why is this guy allowed
on the stand?
Why is he allowed to be a key witness? This happens a lot. It happens so much.
A ridiculous amount. That's why I'm like, trials are a fucking joke.
It is a joke because you're putting 12 people, if this is a jury trial, you're putting 12 people that don't have any fucking clue. I mean, these are people that are mailmen and retail clerks and waitresses and school teachers. They don't fucking know about dentistry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They just want to go home. They just want to fucking go home.
If they're intelligent, they're going to say, "Oh, I don't know anything about this, but God, this person does have a degree in this or whatever, so I must listen to him." I mean, I wouldn't question a doctor if they said, "Hey, you know, you have whatever." And I'm going to be like, "Okay, you are a doctor. I'm a master beater. I guess that, you know, I make jewelry, so I'm going to believe what you have to say." And you can't like Google stuff on the stand. And back then on the jury seats, and you can't do it. I mean, they didn't even have Google back then. But
right.
In response, the defense introduced Dr. Richard Sovereign, a licensed dentist and founding member of the American Board of Forensic Odontology, who testified that the marks were not human bite marks at all, but were insect bites that the body sustained from being left in the water for days.
Okay.
Now, honey, now
So
I know
that's way different than human teeth
human.
marks.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, look, I'm not a zoologist. Okay, I realize that. But I think I could tell the difference between a fucking insect bite and a human a human teeth human bite mark.
A human teeth.
A human teeth.
Teeth marks.
I think I could I know what a tooth is and I know what a teefer is. Okay? And that's all I have to say. And you don't have teeths, you have teefers.
Exactly.
I mean, what the fuck? Is this real life? I can't believe this was
Sadly,
even anyway.
Yes.
Oh god. Sovereign argued that it would be all but impossible to leave repeated bite mark impressions with only the two top teeth.
Yeah, unless you got big buck teeth.
Right.
But even then,
I mean,
not.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Brewer was convicted of capital murder and sexual battery on March 24th, 1995, and sentenced to death. He had maintained his innocence in the crime, and his conviction was based almost entirely on the questionable bite mark evidence. Other physical evidence included various small blood spots on Brewer's clothing, a stain consistent with feces on a dress near where the victim slept, and a blood stain on a blanket found next to where the child was sleeping. However, the state's forensic scientist was unable to identify the ABO blood group through serological testing in order to determine the source.
Okay.
So
maybe it's blood from the person who punched out the window.
This is a room that's being shared with 5 people.
Yeah.
Right? You have Brewer, you have the mother, you have Christine, and then you have her 2 little siblings, okay? You also have children that, like, get rambunctious and can hit each other on accident or, stub their toes and bleed a little bit. Like, children aren't immune to, like, not getting hurt, right? And if you have a place that is cluttered, then the likelihood of them stubbing their toe or cutting themselves on something, like, I'm not saying that, like, it couldn't be the perpetrator themselves, but, like, it's also very possible that it could be any of these people's blood.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I guess it wouldn't be Brewer's because they couldn't connect it to him.
Yeah.
But so he was convicted. In 2001, advanced DNA testing was conducted on semen recovered in 1992 from the victim's body. The tests produced results excluding Brewer as a possible perpetrator and revealed an unknown male profile. The prosecution conducted further testing on 2 of Brewer's friends who were also excluded.
None of them.
Why? Right, none of them. Y-STR testing also excluded many of Brewer's relatives. I don't know what YSTR means.
I don't know either.
I think it's just like, familial DNA.
Trait.
Basically.
Okay.
Yeah. No subsequent effort was made to identify the real perpetrator. They knew that the DNA didn't match with him, but they weren't going to do anything about it.
Yeah. They just were like, whatever, we got our guy. He covered it up so well. Yeah.
Yeah. The following year, Brewer's conviction was vacated, and he was moved from death row to pretrial detention. Prosecution intended to retry Brewer for capital murder, but for a full 5 years, the case was not moved to trial. So he sat in detention for 5 years, knowing that his DNA didn't match the crime. didn't match the semen on her. Ugh. Are you fucking kidding me?
Just
this
being
is what I'm talking
any minute
about.
I'm gonna get out of here. Like any
And it
minute.
took him five fucking years.
Yeah.
Due to conflicts of interest in the Noxubee County District Attorney's Office in 2007, Ben Creekmore, the District Attorney of Oxford, Mississippi, was appointed special prosecutor in the Brewer case. Creekmore decided not to seek the death penalty and agreed not to oppose bail. Brewer was released on August 20, 2007 while a new trial was pending. He was released on bail, but that's it. He wasn't released on a,
like let go.
Yeah. During preparations for Brewer's retrial, the Innocence Project asked the Mississippi Attorney General's office to intervene in the investigation of the case. DNA testing during this investigation led to the implication of another man as the real perpetrator. The unidentified DNA profile discovered in 2001 matched to Justin Albert Johnson, one of the original suspects. Johnson then confessed to Christine Jackson's murder as well as to an identical crime, the murder of Courtney Smith committed in September of 1990, also in Noxubee County. Johnson assured the investigators that he acted alone in both crimes.
In both cases, Justin Albert Johnson was listed as a suspect because he was like hanging around both areas. So he was brought in, he had his hair, blood, and cheek samples taken and was on both lists. And despite the fact that he was also arrested and being prosecuted during the time of the Christine Brewer case for literally living down the road and breaking into someone else's trailer and sexually assaulting their teenage daughter.
Yeah.
They just were like, okay, whatever. Like,
this is just guy.
Like they didn't look at him.
It's just like Raul Meza Jr. I mean, Johnson had a history of sexually assaulting women and girls, and they knew about it.
Yeah. They just were like, we'll get him.
In fact,
we'll get him eventually on some case.
He was the initial suspect.
Yeah.
In both the cases. And then for some reason, they were like, no, Brewer did it.
Yeah, I don't understand.
I don't get it either. I do know that the same sheriff's officer investigated both of the crimes, and the same district attorney prosecuted both of the crimes as well. So this is all, done by the same quote-unquote professionals, right?
Right.
In both of these crimes, they overlooked evidence pointing to Johnson and focused on an innocent man. So 18 months before Brewer was arrested in the other crime, 3-year-old Smith was raped and murdered and left in a pond near her home. The ex-boyfriend of the child's mother, Levon Brooks, was charged and convicted in a large part on the strength of bite marks analysis performed by West. Just as in Brewer's case, Hain, the medical examiner, called in West to analyze bite marks on the child's wrist. West testified that the marks were human bite marks consistent with Brooks' 2 top teeth. This is exactly the same thing. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
This is the same. This is what I don't understand. It's the same case,
basically.
It is, and they're the same age.
Yeah.
This was a little over a year before Christine was abducted, sexually assaulted, and murdered. The same thing happened to,
and the same man was brought in, Justin Albert Johnson.
But what? And this is the same. This is in the same county. This is in the same sheriff's department, and they didn't stop and say, "Hey, this exact crime happened." I mean, she was even found in a body of water.
Yeah.
Did they not realize the like MO here? I mean, that's a connection.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pattern.
It's a serial molester. Not
It's
molester, but rapist
no,
and
he's a
fucking...
killer and
He's a
murderer
predator.
and
Child
I mean,
predator.
in the exact same fucking way. And you're sitting here and you're telling me that they didn't think to put the two and two together? That is so horrible because they caused her death inadvertently.
Yeah.
Because if they had actually done their job and took this seriously, instead of using fucking false sciences and, they would have gotten him.
Yeah.
On February 15th, 2008, charges against Kennedy Brewer were dropped and he was exonerated. On the same day, the Innocence Project, along with Mississippi Innocence Project co-counsel, won Brooks's release from prison.
Good.
Brooks was subsequently exonerated in March 2008, and he was represented by the Innocence Project and Mississippi Innocence Project. Since DNA testing could not be conducted in his case, he was exonerated based on Johnson's confession and other evidence and is not listed as a DNA exoneration case. Legal assistance in the two cases was provided by Skadden, Arps, Slate, Mager, LLP, and affiliates. Andre DeGrew of the Office of Capital Defense Counsel in Mississippi, and Robert B. McDuff. In 2009, Brewer filed a civil lawsuit against West and Hain for $18 million. That lawsuit was dismissed in 2014 after a judge ruled that West and Hain were immune from damages. Are you fucking kidding me? Damages, that's all they did. They damaged so many lives.
Yeah.
Not even, The Fifth Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals upheld the dismissal in 2017. The state of Mississippi agreed to pay Brewer $50,000 a year for 10 years in state compensation. That's not anything.
That's not enough.
That's $500,000. In 2011, West testified during a deposition in the case of Lee Stubbs and Tommy Vance that he no longer believed his own testimony regarding bite mark evidence and that the existing science did not support bite mark identification. This is in quotes. When I testified in this case, I believed in the uniqueness of human bite marks.
Ew.
I no longer believe in that. And if I was asked to testify in this case again, I would say, I don't believe it's a system that's reliable enough to be used in court. End quote.
I was just going to say, what a fucking loser. But then he redeemed himself a little bit.
A little bit, but he's still a loser.
Still.
Vance and Stubbs were exonerated in 2013. So in these two other cases that he, had previously been used as a key witness, he retracted.
Of course.
3 other Mississippi men who were convicted in part based on testimony from Hain also were exonerated. See, here's the thing. That's like, I mean, there could have been a chance where maybe he got it right,
mm-hmm.
and maybe the right guy was,
convicted.
But now, because he's a big fat dumb idiot, like now they all get, which is, I think, is a good thing. I would like to think that there was just more evidence of their innocence other than the bite marks. So, I mean, I can't really see the state allowing anybody to be exonerated without hard evidence.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, things like that do happen, you know. 3 other Mississippi men who were convicted in part based on testimony from Hain also were exonerated. Tyler Edmonds, Eddie Lee Howard Jr., and Lee Vester Brown. West also provided erroneous bite mark testimony against Howard. On August 24th, 2021, Sherwood Brown, who had been sentenced to death for a murder in DeSoto County, Mississippi, was exonerated after spending 26 years on death row. He had been convicted in part based on Dr. West's testimony that his teeth left bite marks on the victim. So I do want to say this. Johnson also confessed to the murder of 3-year-old Courtney Smith. And Levon Brooks, who was convicted of that crime because of the bite mark testimony from Dr. West, was also exonerated.
The same day as Brewer, right?
I think, I don't know if it was the same day. Is that what I said?
I thought it was, yeah. Okay.
I don't know I absolutely just like disassociated.
It's a lot. It's a lot of information.
It's a lot of information.
Fucked up shit. It's a heavy case, the Christine Brewer case, but it's also a heavy couple of cases with the Brooks Smith case and with everything. Yeah. And honestly, like, I think that this is the best case to end the season with, because it does hold a lot of weight to it. Like, these are fucking literal babies.
Yeah.
Whose parents were not given the justice that they could have so easily gotten right away.
Yeah.
And instead, their families were torn apart. The lives of these men were torn apart. But also, like, if I take away anything from this season, it's that I am so fucking sick. Like, I'm so sick of politics in general. Like,
yeah.
But I'm so sick of politics. Politics have no place in our justice system. In the case of, I will say that the documentary that I saw that was done by the Innocence Project did mention that there were 68 people at the time of filming on death row in Mississippi, and Dr. Stephen Hain and Michael West had been witnesses on 48 of those cases.
That is too much. That is too much.
And in all honesty, like, there's no reason with technology as advanced as it is now, if Amazon can deliver something to you that you buy right away in 5 hours, there's no reason why this barrier between counties exists. There's no reason why we don't have evidence examined by multiple pathologists or specialists or whoever the fuck is looking at it. Like, why can we not ship blood vials to 5 different counties to have it confirmed?
That's the other thing too, like, this is going back to the political shit, is like, people should be doing these jobs because they want to do these jobs, because they want to help people.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be doing this job because it gives them a better pay grade the further up the corporate ladder or the political ladder they climb. If you put greed into this, you're automatically gonna have situations like this. And no judicial system is perfect. And even if you try to stomp out any of the corruption, there's always going to be corruption in there a little bit, because people are corrupt.
Yeah,
I think.
It's true. No, it's true.
But I think there should be a screening process if you're going to be a police officer, or if you're going to be, a detective or whatever. I think there needs to be a whole reform. Like, we've been saying it since the very first fucking season of our podcast.
Yeah.
There needs to be police reform. And that's all of it. That's all of it. That's sheriffs, that's city police, that's state police. There needs to be a reform, because what's happening now is not working. And there's too many people. Could you imagine the day where people could have been like for the Salem witch trials, for example, when all you had to do was like, no, they did that. Just point your finger and be like, I saw that person do it.
Yeah. It's no different now.
Well, I mean, luckily now we do have evidence. We do have DNA evidence,
I
and that
mean,
does solve a little bit,
we
right? It does help a little bit.
it helps a little bit, but it also is wholly dependent on the person's ability to accurately read the information,
Right. And
the
take the information.
facility's ability to store the DNA. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
Like there's so many fucking
Yeah.
loopholes
And we
that
we saw that with the fucking yogurt shop murder case
yeah.
where we had a separate, didn't we have like a separate forensics lab or whatever?
Yeah.
What happened with the lab? I forget. Something squirrely happened with.
Refrigerator went down and they had
That's right.
years worth of DNA just sitting there like growing mold on it because
Yeah,
they
just
didn't have
just
enough people working to test the DNA samples and they were behind on like all the rape kits and shit. And it's like there's no
it's
fucking excuse for that. And who is policing the facilities or
police.
the people or the police?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
who is
Right.
responsible for going in and being like, surprise, we didn't announce that we were coming. Now we're going to check and make sure that all your shit's in working order. And we want to
Well,
see the
that's what
past, months worth of
I
that
mean,
should be
that's
done
what
every 2 weeks.
the mayor is supposed to be in control of the city police, or supposed to be helping with the city police, keeping them accountable, holding them accountable for what they do. And then the governor is supposed to be like, holding everybody accountable, below him, right? It's like, it's supposed to be like this chain reaction. When reality is like, if they're not holding each other accountable, what they're doing is they're letting things slide because of this, right, or that, or and their political gain, and
Because
that's what causes corruption.
they're too busy fucking like getting ready for photo ops and parties and bullshit, like getting their name and faces out there and
Yeah,
that, like, in all honesty, why shouldn't they be treated like regular people? You're doing your job. Like,
yeah,
are we either we can all go around congratulating everybody and taking pictures of the little cuties who go into work every day and do their little menial jobs and bring home their paycheck, or we can treat everybody equally and not give a fuck. You're the mayor, very good. You're doing your job. I don't want to take your lame ass picture.
I mean, it's really, I mean, it's upsetting, and it's only getting worse, and it's only going to get worse. I mean, the only thing that we can focus on is local government and trying to get the people. Mississippi is a poor state.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always been a poor state, and unfortunately, the people who suffer the most are poor people.
Yeah.
Like Brewer is like, they were living in a dilapidated trailer with all their babies in one room.
Yeah.
I mean, the window was broken. I read in an article that they didn't even have a lock on their door.
Yeah.
They locked their door by a nail. They put a nail in the back of the door. So whenever she left, Brewer would put a nail up behind the door so nobody could force their way into the house. But they still had a busted window that didn't have any kind of protection. All it had was like a piece of cloth.
And I do want to say, I mean, I doubt any of our listeners would be judging, but in case anybody does stumble across this and they're like, oh, well, they weren't making the home safe for the children or whatever. I mean, in all honesty, like, first of all, if that's what you're thinking, like, grow up. This is real. This is real life. Like, this is the way that some people live. And if you're in an impoverished area and you are living an impoverished kind of life, like, these are the things that you have to deal with in your day-to-day life. Like, these are the realities. And somebody who maybe has a bit more of a security system or whatever may look down on the situation that the Brewers were in. But I mean, it was their situation. They felt comfortable, probably not wholly comfortable, but they were making the best of what they had. And that's all they were doing.
Right, and that's kind of like, oh, well, she should have been. What was she wearing? Kind of a
Yeah,
thing. It's like it doesn't
exactly.
matter. It doesn't matter what the house is like. Somebody fucking literally went in and snatched up a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you look at I think her name is Elizabeth Smart. Is it Elizabeth Smart who got kidnapped
Yeah.
at like 11? She got kidnapped from a really affluent home in
Yeah.
Utah.
Exactly. Like
You know what I
nobody
mean?
is safe. Nobody is
No,
safe from
no,
crime.
no, no. Nobody is safe. That, what I've learned from doing this podcast in these 3 seasons is that nobody is safe. That's what I've learned, unless you're fat, because you can't. It's hard to drag my ass around.
Yeah. Same.
I don't. I was looking for a missing person. We don't have any right now in the Austin area.
Oh,
There
good.
are some missing people. Well, I mean, I'm sure we do. They just didn't make it up
Oh.
to the Austin missing persons group, which is where I get my missing people from. But so I don't have a missing persons, but we are going to do a little bit of an announcement where we will be announcing our 4th season on our Patreon first.
So, if you are a member of the Patreon, you will get a little sneak peek into next season by way of announcement.
Yeah. Nothing else.
Nothing else. And for those of you who are not a member of the Patreon, don't feel too bad that you've been missing out on our episodes because we haven't been posting there either. But we
Okay,
are
well,
getting back into the weekly.
No, if
recordings.
you're not a Patreon member, you should feel bad because we have been posting. It's all we've been doing is posting on the Patreon. All we've been doing is so busy posting on the Patreon. Gotta lie to these people, Jasmine.
But if you are a Patreon member, or sorry, if you're not a Patreon member, then you may want to consider it because it's $5 a month. And
Yeah.
we do post over there just some fun, like not fun stories, but other true crime stories that are not fitting in with any type of theme. It's just what we feel like doing. Some of them are more popular cases. Some of them maybe you haven't heard of.
Right.
So, you may want to...
And we don't hold back.
Take a gander.
Hold back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't hold back for that because you're paying to hear the grit, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah. So maybe you should
consider joining
do a little
the Patreon.
Give us a little late Christmas gift. And maybe join the Patreon. Maybe just a little bit. No, but if you do, I mean, I think it would be fun. I mean, it's fun, I think.
Yeah, I think
and so. And also, we are going to be having some special guests this next season as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Me too. We're going to do I originally when we first started this podcast, I wanted to do meaning me, poor Jasmine. But what I wanted, and what I foresaw for it, and I made Jasmine agree with me, was that we were to do these listener stories, and which doesn't really, none of our listeners really have stories. Yeah. So, but instead of something like that, I think we're gonna try and do a special guest.
Yeah.
Maybe once a month or something like that.
Yeah, I think that would be cute.
Yeah. So, I think season 4 is going to be big. We're going to get our shit together. We're going to be more, I'm feeling better. I'm coming out of the mourning process. And Jasmine got married, so her life is going to be settling down a little bit. So we'll be able to focus more on the podcast because I mean, honestly, I think we do have a pretty good podcast. I feel like
the same. I feel like I feel like it is strong. I feel like this season kind of went off the rails, but we both had
Yeah.
a lot of stuff
Yeah.
going on. So if you stuck with us all the way to this final episode of season 3, we really do appreciate you. Sorry for fucking
Yeah.
around.
Yeah, we really do. We really do appreciate you guys a lot.
And we really look forward to a strong season 4.
Yeah, I think it'll be more interesting for us as well. And the Innocence Project, even though it's important, it is heavy and it's hard. It's really hard to get into it because you know, it's a lot. It's a lot of emotional turmoil because you can't, unless you're completely dead inside, which honestly I'm so fucking close to being like that, but I'm not yet. And it does weigh on you emotionally to think about people who have been sitting rotting on death row, especially for years because of politics, basically. So yeah, it really does grind my gears.
Yeah.
So anyways, that being said, stay tuned for season 4. But if you do like us and you do want to follow us, you can follow us on our Instagram.
It's Nosy Nancy's.
And you can follow us on our Facebook page.
It's Nosy Nancy's podcast.
Also our TikTok.
Nosy Nancy's
podcast, I think.
Podcast, question mark.
And then also our Patreon, which is hilarious. It's a hilarious place to be.
It's Nosy Nancy's. Patreon/Nosy Nancy's.
Yeah, and we have a link tree on the top of our on our Facebook, so if you need to go there, you can find it there. I think also on our Instagram. I'm not entirely sure. I do have a Patreon shout out for Carrie. That is my brother.
Carrie.
He is my brother-in-law. My sister was supporting our Patreon, but since she passed, he took over as well. So,
yeah, very sweet.
So it was pretty sad to see her membership cancel. To be honest, not because of the money, but because of to see that she's not part of the group anymore, which is pretty sad. But she was pretty active on the Patreon. But it is very kind and nice that he is now supporting us as well in her memory. So he had to, so that's good. So anyways.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Thanks, Carrie. We love you. And so we'll see y'all next season.
Ciao.